Cue the music. Hello, everybody, and welcome to B&T Sports Talk Show. I am T, and to my left, right, it's B.
Right here.
And we are here to discuss some of the happenings in the sports world today, most specifically the NBA playoffs, which is happening as we speak as the Atlanta Hawks are playing against the Boston Celtics. Boston is up by 7 if you were curious, but this looks like it might be a close game. So there's a lot to talk about, folks, so we'll jump right in. But before we do, we got to give a big shout out to one very special person. Happy birthday, Rachel. I heard that yesterday. Woo! Is that correct, Brian? Yesterday.
That is correct. Yesterday was
her
her birthday.
So big happy birthday to you. Hope you are celebrating and will continue to celebrate throughout this entire weekend.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, dude, that's all he's saying. It's my birthday weekend. Yeah. It's my birthday weekend.
Yeah. Get a whole weekend?
We got it. It's my birthday weekend.
And if this is your first time listening to us, please feel free to like, subscribe. If you're already subscribed, hit the notification button. We appreciate it. And let's jump into it. Excuse me. All right, so let's start with the game that just ended a little earlier today, in which your Warriors came through in the clutch, we'll say, or maybe it's more like held on in the clutch, depending upon how you look at it. It was a very, very hotly contested game throughout the entire game. There wasn't a moment where one team could even relax or even take a deep breath. Curry played the entire fourth quarter. I know we talked about that via text, and they were up by 10 at one point, and it kind of looked like they were pulling away from the Kings, but the Kings came roaring back in the beginning of the fourth quarter, and it was on like Donkey Kong from there on out. So, B.
What up, T?
Playoff win's a playoff win. Absolutely. But what did you see today, or was there anything about what you saw today that made you think differently about how this series will go?
Not yet, because I'm waiting for the Warriors to win one on the road. Now it's the first one to win the road. It's the first one to win a road game at this point. That's what it's going to come down to. But the Warriors movement, the ball movement today, I think having Draymond coming off the bench to kind of anchor that second unit and having the scores right off the bench to match the speed with Sacramento was actually pretty good here. The Warriors had, I think, 4 or 5 players in double figures today.
Yeah.
So that's the consistency balance that you're looking for. Klay Thompson finally showed up. Thanks for joining the
party.
Thanks for joining the series. And I think the biggest thing here is the defense. The defense actually is looking pretty good. You can't stop De'Aaron Fox. That man's just gonna get his, that little pro game that he plays with some bonus, to get to the free throw line is basically unguardable. That's like Kobe getting to the baseline and having that fadeaway to his disposal there.
Right.
De'Aaron Fox is going to get his. But the Warriors are not allowing anyone else to kind of dictate the rest of the game. Just like in game one, they had 2 guys, one guy who's never scored 30 points in a game this year, scored 30 points in Malik Monk. And since then, been absolutely quiet. Trey Lyle, been absolutely quiet since game one. Sabonis has been nothing but a rolling bowling ball inside of the paint, man. Like, that, there's basketball, and then there's just running people over. Like, he looks like a fullback taking the hike from a quarterback and just running into people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look like he's playing basketball at all.
Yeah.
But I'm curious now. Draymond Green obviously was out last game. They had a big comeback in which they, comeback. We'll call it a comeback game at home. That first game back. And they beat the Kings. And, of course, Draymond then comes off the bench here. And from what I could see, was definitely helping, especially as we got into the fourth quarter, was instrumental in a lot of the defensive stops. He had a couple of really good plays where he kind of faked the dribble handoff, got to the rim a couple of times. He got a good block on Sabonis. Ball bounced off his head on a 3-on-2 break. I mean, part of your body, man. It's defense. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta
It is
give him credit.
absolutely.
Give him credit for being a leader on the court, and but he found a way to get into a little bit of trouble with the technical. Um, are you?
Almost ended up with two.
Yeah, almost. He
Almost found his way out of that game again.
decided to shout at the side of De'Aaron Fox's head, and luckily the refs let him. They turned their head or swallowed their whistle or whatever you want to call it, and just let him play, which is great. So be going.
I think.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say just having Draymond's defensive presence was probably the biggest thing to keep Sacramento at bay, because the switches he got put on with De'Aaron Fox, he managed that.
Yeah.
But just to help, he was able to provide Looney on Sabonis. For the first time, Sabonis actually kind of had the upper hand on Kevon Looney today.
Yeah, he did.
Which hasn't been said for the most part of the series. So the fact that he was able to get that leverage on Looney, and with Draymond coming in to help, and obviously Draymond really wants that matchup because of the way Sabonis is playing against him, and obviously with the stomp hurt around the world. Those are the things that he wants right now. So, that big block was definitely a game changer down the stretch, because it got the crowd into it. You see Draymond yelling at Sabonis while he's laying on the ground.
Yeah.
It helped the Warriors, but how do you gonna forget how many timeouts you have when you literally just blew your last timeout?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen that since Chris Webber in his college days. We got Steph Curry of all people getting trapped between the half court line and the out of bounds there, and just turns and signals for a timeout. And I love the video that shows Steve Kerr completely just yelling, "We don't have any. We don't have any." And that one mistake very well could have cost them the entire game. Of course, folks, I believe they were up by, I want to say, what was it, 6?
They were up 5.
Up 5. They gave up a technical free throw, and Sacramento got the possession. Sacramento hits a 3, and now it was a 1-point game. That very well, that could have been the end of the game, folks. Luckily, De'Aaron Fox chose to go left and not right, and then that sealed the deal. That last play was a little wonky. I don't know what was drawn up. However, the opportunity to get to the rim was there. Once the switch was made for Curry to go to Fox, which is what I think they were looking for some reason, Fox decided to attack the space of the area of the basketball court where Draymond Green was just standing there daring him to throw the ball to Harrison Barnes. I'm just saying, if he had maybe thought about going right where Steph Curry and nobody else is, he might have had a better chance of getting at least getting a good shot off. So, but either way, good defense by Draymond Green. Harrison Barnes is the guy that ends up taking the shot. You got to live with that. He didn't have that great of a game. He had 9 points. He shot 16% from the 3-point line. Shot 27% for the entire game. He was only 3 of 11. So if Draymond, again, you mentioned it earlier, Draymond makes the right defensive choice, stick Fox, even if we have to double team him, and let the other guys beat us. And so I think that was a great play.
And Sacramento, quite honestly, is not shooting the ball well. You can live with these guys taking open threes right now, because they're not going to catch fire like they did in game 1. Harrison Barnes was open in the corner, and they go to close out on him, and then he gets a layup earlier in the game there. So, I think the Warriors can do a better job without having to pressure the 3-point line. There's no need to close out on half of these guys. I think the only guy who I'd be afraid of, and who had a good game, was Keaton Murray, the rookie from Iowa. He had, finally had a shellout game, had 25 points. But again, you got no production from anyone else on that bench there. So, I would dare them to shoot the 3 until they can beat you from behind the arc. Let them have it. No one's going to shoot the lights out like the Warriors do. And, for the Warriors' credit, they did not settle for threes today.
Yeah.
That was the big thing to witness today was they continued to go to the hoop. Um, I think their game plan was is to ride their vets out tonight because Gary Payton didn't see the floor the whole lot.
Nah, he didn't.
Kaminga didn't see it as
Nah,
much,
he.
and
I didn't
Moody
see him
didn't
at
see it
all.
as much. And Moody had, I would say, to earn some playing time
Yeah.
as well. And this series is just too fast for JaMychal Green. We don't need old people getting a heart attack on the court. Um, we're good on that. So you're going to see very little of JaMychal Green in this series, but I think for Moody, Kaminga, and Gary Payton, I'd like to see a little more athleticism on the floor there because I think they can hang with guarding the quick guards of Sacramento.
Yeah, I think just like the rest of the league, obviously the Kings don't have a solution for Steph Curry. They did an okay job at certain points, but I think there was one play in the fourth where they just completely left him. They had two players leave him alone for a three, and
It was on the screen.
yeah,
On Looney, Sabonis got caught, and then De'Aaron Fox
he
instead
went
of going
over.
over
Yeah,
the
he
screen,
went under the
he goes
screen.
underneath
Yeah,
it, and then gave up because he knew he was done.
yeah, and so and down the stretch, the Sacramento Kings they're a young team. They made some boneheaded choices. They had a couple of opportunities for fast break points, where they should have been buckets. They ended up being turnovers. They had one where
Yeah,
De'Aaron Fox threw the ball out of bounds, throwing it to Sabonis. They had another one where the ball was dropped into Sabonis' hands, who had a guy underneath the basket that was wide open, and he got stripped by Draymond. Another great play by Draymond, but there was no reason for Sabonis to even put the ball on the ground. He was right in the
I
front
don't
of the
get why
rim.
big men have to put the ball on the ground.
I,
Like,
I don't
you
know.
just go straight back up with it.
Right, you're right in front of. You're
You put
5 feet
the ball
from
on
the
the
rim.
ground.
You're you're 5 feet from the rim. So that was another one. Then there was another play with Malik Monk where he had a guy underneath the basket, tried to hit him through the ball, hit Draymond on the back of the head. So
Yeah,
Sacramento made some boneheaded decisions that helped keep them back a little bit, but they continue to fight, and I think having Draymond on the court really helped with the pick and roll defense on De'Aaron Fox. The Warriors felt way more comfortable with
yeah.
switching Green out on Fox, which is crazy, but hey, it worked. And they didn't leave Looney in the position where he had to keep backpedaling into the paint to try to stop
Oh,
De'Aaron Fox on those
yeah.
screens, because that was killing him. I mean, by the time De'Aaron Fox was taking elbow jumpers most of the game, elbow
Yep.
jumpers and floaters because the big just kept floating into the paint because they didn't want to give up a layup. So when you have a guy like Green who can move his feet a little bit better, he really did a great job of taking that away. So kudos to the Warriors for
Yeah.
playing enough defense to win this game, although this was only a 1 point game, folks. So B, what's going to happen in the next game, man?
Oh, dude, you want to talk about physicality? This thing is about to get ramped up on Wednesday night. Both teams are going to be eager to now end this series. It's 0-0, first one to two. Um, you got a revamped Warrior team after the home cooking at home. Um, oh man, we just got hit with comments. Um, I would expect at least 3 technicals in Wednesday night's game. And dude, for Jordan Poole to get a technical for just being
Yeah,
animated,
that was
come on,
yeah,
man.
that was a little whack.
This is you can't get any more soft. And come on, guys have been going to the paint and getting absolutely mollywopped going down there. You're not gonna call it technical for that, but we're gonna get it technical because the guys are just animated with what's going on the court here. It just blows my mind what they consider a technical nowadays.
Yeah, I thought that was a little whack. That little call right there. I didn't think that warranted him getting a technical. But we talked about the inconsistency of the refs before, and sometimes I don't think the refs know where to call it or what to call it. I think they're just trying to control the game, but maybe they're just trying a little too hard. Um,
I think they did a good job today. Is kind of really letting that game just kind of develop. The fouls weren't as much up until for some reason the fourth quarter with the last 4 minutes in the game. That whistle blew quite a bit, but I liked how they let the game kind of just free flow for the first 3.5 quarters there. It was just
yeah,
it was nonstop action, and there's no need to stop the action from there
Yeah.
unless
Yeah, late in the fourth, Curry got grabbed on his way to that floater in the lane before he got
Yeah.
there. They didn't call that. They let him get, but he had a free shot at the rim. He just kind of, I think, short hopped it a little bit. But yeah, man, there were some, it wasn't very consistent, and I guess that's what we can expect to see the rest of the series. Honestly, I don't really see anything changing.
No, not at all. Let's get caught up in the chat here. Mama Birdie says, "Hi boys, hello mother.
What's up?"
The Wu Tang himself, Josh says, "Dubs baby, free Dre." Well, Dre was free and almost ended up back in the
Yeah, he did.
back in the locker room real quick there. Rachel, the birthday girl, says, "Live look at Sabonis with a clown emoji."
There you go. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Again, we talked about it earlier. I mean, the dude is just not. I thought he was a lot better than that when he played with the Pacers, and I just don't see that here. I don't know what happened to him, but he's not the same player.
Welcome to the playoffs.
Right, there you go.
Welcome to the playoffs.
Butts get tight. All right, then we got Josh chiming in with happy birthday to Rachel. So everyone, get on the train and say happy birthday to Rachel. Everybody, if you got some time in the keyboard, type happy birthday, Rachel, as many times as you possibly can.
Throw it in the chat.
Then we got Brooke chiming in. Sabonis looks like Sid the Sloth. Yes, he looks like a big. I mean, I don't know what to call him. A cement block on on skates. Like he's not a very agile or athletic individual. He's looking very, very clownish. I agree.
What's worse is he doesn't even want to shoot the ball from 15 feet. At least Dre wanted to give it. He gives himself a chance. Dude, Sabonis just doesn't want that opportunity.
Yeah, and he's standing there by himself. I mean, he's just standing there. He's just chilling, looking around. What do I do, guys? We'll shoot the ball, fool. All right, then we got. Go ahead, B. We got tacos and.
No,
what the hell is that?
Tacos in
Josh, what
party.
We doing? Oh, taco party. All right, I see you.
Yeah, taco party for Rach.
I see you.
Yeah. Josh says the Dubs will win the next game. Again, I want to say it. They gotta find a way on the road, man. Just find a way.
I'd like to remind everyone they still have not. They've got to get that road game. Like B has been saying since halfway through the season, they have to win on the road. So although it's nice that they won the 2 games at home, they've got to get a road game. Otherwise, the series is over because Sacramento obviously has the home court advantage. And they've got cowbells and referees with whistles that only work when Kings players are active. So
and that's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it is.
On Wednesday. And then Mama Birdie says, I think DiVincenzo needs to play more than Poole.
He didn't have the best game today. And
you got 20 from Poole. And so that's what keeps him on the court. But when he went to go kick the ball into the front court, Kerr said, "It's time for you to leave." And Kerr just can't trust him in these clutch situations here because you can't be turning the ball over like that. And yes, Curry had a boneheaded timeout. I get all that. But that is very rare from a superstar athlete of his caliber compared to Jordan Poole, who has been, trying to get into the NFL with the way he kicks the ball into the front row. So DiVincenzo's good. I do like his hustle, the extra chances he gives the team, his defensive presence, but it's gotta you gotta have points on the floor because once Curry goes out, the scoring stops pretty much. You gotta find a way to get that going.
Absolutely.
You know who we haven't talked about?
Who's that?
Wiggins again.
Oh man, well that's because he's the only consistent thing other than Steph Curry. Yeah, that's why you don't talk about him because he just goes out there, gives you 15 to 20, and goes home, comes back and does it again. So
and the block shots,
the defense.
Those are the gracious. The defense by Wiggins here, and maybe matching Wiggins with the likes of DiVincenzo, Jordan Poole, Draymond or Gary Payton II, because then at least you've got 2 bona fide scorers on the court. You get a little something extra here, but. Just continue. They got to continue to cut. They got to continue to get to the rim because Sacramento's giving them all of that.
Yeah.
And then some. So it's going to be big here. Wiggins is my guy, player of the year, even though he missed 26 games or so.
Well,
But it's true.
let's let
It's
them
true.
get through the series before we proclaim him player of the year. They still got more games to play, folks. So, but I
They
will
do.
admit that after being off for so long, I did not expect him to come in and play this much this well. So yeah,
Yeah,
kudos to Wiggins.
I would say so. And then Josh comments more Wiggins and Poole. I think Dre should stay on the second team and anchor them.
He can't
He,
really
it's
anchor a team because he's more of a defensive player, and I don't know if he can do anything for you off. He can't do it. What do you mean? He can't do anything for you offensively. Let's just put it like
yeah.
that. You need
He's
someone
good.
else to do that.
He's good on the fake handoff. That's
Yeah,
his bread and butter.
right.
He can do that, but you're not going to run that consistently because teams are going to pick that up real quick here. So that's why you don't see it as often from a Warrior standpoint, because it keeps the defense honest. But I don't think Draymond is going to come off the bench on Wednesday. He's
No.
going to start.
Yep.
He has to.
I think you
So
got to start strong. They're going to be back in Sacramento. You got to get a strong start. You got to have your best players in and able to do that. And so, for sure Draymond's going to be in there. I don't know about more Poole. Maybe more. I don't think you could give any more Wiggins. I think Wiggins is getting about as much as you can possibly give him at this point. How many minutes did he play today? He played 37 minutes. So he's pretty much playing starter minutes at this point. The only folks that play more minutes than him are Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So I don't think you can give him any more minutes. Jordan Poole gets 26 minutes. I think that's a good sweet spot. I don't think you want to play him 30 plus minutes. I don't think so.
No, 27 minutes and it's turnover central.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it at 26.
Yeah, he's like JaVale McGee used to be. You get to that 15th minute, he starts doing some weird crap. So
Exactly. And then Brooke says, make sure you're not late to the escape room. That's why we're doing an early show here. So we can get to the escape room.
That is not sports related.
I know.
I'll tolerate Rachel's birthday, but a reminder for an event? Oh, no, people. Send that to Brian personally. Keep that out of the chat.
Well, hey, let's talk about your team because, man, the Lakers have some exciting news coming around this weekend here. Now, obviously, after Memphis had won, Dylan Brooks had a lot to say about one LeBron James, which was damn near comical coming from a guy who isn't averaging more than 15 points a game. Let's just put it like that. But the Lakers came in, they hold court, but despite, I think, 43 from Ja Morant.
45,
but you can't ask for a slower start from Memphis, who only put up a 9 spot in the first quarter, found a way to make it interesting, to say the least, with the Lakers going into their traditional, let's take the foot off the gas pedal here during the game. But big win because they can really take advantage of a 3-1 lead against a so-called dynasty of absolutely nothing here. So
dynasty my behind.
Let's start with this, Taj. Obviously, big win. What was your biggest takeaway between the Lakers and Grizzlies?
Okay, so there are a couple of things. The first thing is when this team plays defense, they're very hard to beat because they can turn defense into offense so quickly because you have guys like LeBron James who can take the ball off the rim and get up court. That's exactly what happened to the Grizzlies. And I'll jump into the Dylan Brooks thing in a minute, but the Lakers didn't have the intensity that they had in this game. In the last game, that's why they lost. They spent the first half kind of meandering around. Then they decided to play in the second half, but they were too little too late. In this game, they had the pedal on the gas early, and they completely overwhelmed a NBA team, by the way, by 26 points in the first quarter, to the point that it almost looked like Dylan Brooks didn't want to play anymore. Everybody had a look on their face.
Well, he didn't.
No, you're right. He didn't.
He didn't want to play anymore.
That's it. You're right. And it was really a combination of a couple of again, as I said, defense, rebounding, running. And when they can do that consistently and you start missing shots and they start making shots, D'Angelo Russell was getting in the mix, had a really good game. LeBron James had himself a nice a nice game. But he had 25, folks. He didn't blow the doors off of anything. It was D'Angelo Russell who had 17. And then when we started to falter, we had two guys show up for us. Anthony Davis and Rui Hachimura, who has been some type of revelation to the Lakers these past 3 games. I mean,
you want to talk about consistency?
Yes.
He's been a more consistent player.
Desmond Bain called him out after game 1, and he's been good ever since. Dylan Brooks calls out LeBron in game 2, and then our entire team runs them over. So let's talk about this. Dylan Brooks, who let's pull up his stat line, because we always want to talk about what a player does for their team. And all he did was talk. He was 3 for 13 in this game. The Lakers fans booed him in warm-ups every time he missed a shot. Booed him during the game. They came out so flat. We made them look like me playing against my 6-year-old son. It was 38 to 30. What was it? 39 to 6 or 38 to
9. They had 9.
36 to 9. 9 points in a first quarter for a NBA team, folks. Now
Full of professionals.
I want everybody.
Full of professionals.
I want all the Warriors fans and all the other fans, folks in the NBA that have played against the Grizzlies, and I want them to shake the Lakers' hands for what we just did to them in that first quarter. We completely shut them down. We made them look like a team that had no business playing in the NBA. And that's a part of what people don't like about the Grizzlies, is the fact that they do so much talking, but when it's time to put the pedal to the metal, when it's time to actually write a check, their behinds cannot cash it. And that's exactly what happened to Dylan, to the point that he decided to get himself out of the game. He said, you know what? I don't want to play anymore.
He inappropriately touched LeBron's wee-wee.
He sure did. He sure did. Very, very not gangster. That was not gangster at all. I don't know what was going on in that moment. It wasn't like he was reaching for the ball, because the ball was behind LeBron's back. Unless he thought LeBron was transparent. He was going to reach through him and get it. And it just added insult to injury for his entire team, in my opinion. These guys have been talking. Bane's been talking. He's talking. Oh, he can't do that for the whole series. Well, guess what? He's the 3rd best player on our team for this series. Oh, he's old. Oh, well, guess what? It doesn't matter, because his entire team is better than your team. These guys gotta. I mean, the proof's in the pudding, folks. These guys gotta shut up at some point. They gotta be quiet.
They just gotta play. They just have to play basketball. That's all it is. But like I said, the problem with Memphis is there is zero leadership in that locker room. There is no veteran near the age of 27. The only real experienced guy is the dumbass that's doing all the talking.
Right.
And that's Dylan Brooks.
Right.
So I think this loss just puts Memphis in a big hole. We've seen Memphis get in holes that they cannot crawl out of.
Yeah.
Clear example, the Warriors took a 3-1 lead on them.
Yeah.
It was over after that.
It was over.
So they don't know how to react upon adversity besides running their mouths.
Right.
For what? If you're the number 2 seed, if you end up out of this, then there's going to be a lot of questioning as far as the future of the Memphis Grizzlies. Me personally could care less. All Ja Morant's got to do is pick up a 9mm. He'd be shooting himself out of the NBA pretty damn soon.
Well, Ja.
I don't even know how they bring Dylan Brooks back when he opens his mouth. Like, that's what blows my mind, is that they back him up. Warriors fans, we back Draymond because he's got something to show for it. Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time champion, multiple All-Star games. At least we can go off of why we defend him. There's no reason to defend a guy who's got devil horns coming out of his forehead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would argue that him getting out of the game actually helped the Grizzlies, because they played better and you didn't have somebody eating up all the shots, because the game plan for the Lakers defensively was to let him stand there and shoot as many shots as he could handle. And he obliged.
Oh, yeah.
He shot 13 shots and made 3 of them. So, yeah, we'll take that all day. So he's not the guy to open his mouth to say anything. He hasn't done enough in the league.
And that jump shot he has, that jump shot is one of the ugliest jump shots I've ever seen in my life. Like, how do you go from standing up straight to your legs going outwards?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
When you finish.
I don't know, man. It's just, he's doing jumping jacks. I just don't. I think it's just ridiculous. And I'm glad that he opened his mouth because it was the motivation that my team needed to play hard from jump because the Lakers have a bad habit of starting games slow. And they came out with the engine revving. So now they have to go into the next game and understand that the next game for the Lakers is a must win. The next game for the Grizzlies is a must win too because if you go down 3-1, that's pretty much the end of the series. Ja looked pretty good even though his hand was supposedly busted. He had 45, had a couple of bad turnovers, but more or less he did all right, but he couldn't carry the shoulder.
There's no help.
Yeah, he couldn't shoulder the load of the whole team. And when you come out that flat and get punched in the face that hard to start a game, what are you gonna do? It's over. I mean,
It's
you
too hard. Too hard to climb out.
we took your heart, your girlfriend, and your 9mm. That's what happened in the first quarter. So much so that Dylan Brooks quit the game, folks. He quit the game.
Yeah, he took himself out.
He said, "I'm out. I'm just gonna hit LeBron, and I don't even want to play anymore." And you can't go from talking to that. At least stay on the floor and take your whipping like a man. But I just think it's pathetic. I don't like the way that they play. I don't like the fact that they have all these guys who are pretend bad guys who want to pretend to be, these hustle. We're the Detroit Pistons. No, you're not, because you don't have Isaiah Thomas. You don't have Rick Mahorn. You don't have Bill Laimbeer. You don't have Joe Dumars. You don't have any of those guys who are all of them except for maybe one. They're Hall of Famers. You've just got John Morant and a guy that just discovered he could play basketball in Jaren Jackson Jr. The guy's only been in the league for 3 or 4 years. So, I don't see where they get all this momentum from that to crown themselves.
Anything.
Exactly.
Anything.
The king of trash. All they could do is talk. And they showed that in a big way in this game. And it was very fun to see. I can't tell you how elated I was to watch them stare at one another, trying to figure out if they were playing tennis, football, or basketball. Because that's what they look like out there.
Dude, and in all honesty, and Rachel and Josh have both said it, and I'll say it as well. As much as if the Warriors were to move on, and as much as we would love to see Memphis because of, we want to get Draymond involved with more crap.
Oh my, that would be fun.
I mean, look, let's be honest. LeBron and Curry, at the end of their career, to do what they're still doing, to play in the semifinals, I mean, I think we would like that. I think as fans, it'd be very, very good here. But man, just the more Memphis talks, the more we talk about Memphis, the more they think they've got something going on. When all we're doing is just bashing the hell out of them.
Well, they did it to themselves. I mean, you can't just go.
Yep.
I mean, he opened his mouth, he got his foot put in it, and then on top of it, he quit the game. So I don't know what else to say. I feel like they're a bunch of losers. I give Ja some credit for going out there and trying to bring his team back. But the rest of the guys on that team, well, like you said, they're looking for leadership they don't have, man.
Well, let's talk about, obviously, because with Dylan Brooks wanting to feel how large LeBron James was, and then Embiid trying to shove his foot up someone's ass, earlier this week. Obviously, Embiid doesn't get in the suspension, but Philly says that he's hurt, so he's obviously not playing. And we're waiting to see what the league is going to do about Dylan Brooks, which are probably not going to suspend him, although I wouldn't be shocked if they did.
They won't. They're not going to suspend him.
We've seen the physicality of the game. We've obviously seen a lot happen. Does the kick by Embiid and the nut punch by Dylan Brooks warrant any sort of suspension? And I'm staying neutral for this. This is just more of a conversation of where the league stands on how they hand out these suspensions.
I thought the Embiid play did, just because it was after the whistle, and it was a play where he obviously the intention was to kick the guy that was near him. It wasn't the play with Dylan Brooks I think was intentional as well, but it was during play, so at least there's some excuse you could try to make. But
I think there was a basketball move being
right.
for that to happen.
Exactly, but the other play, I thought there was a good case that Embiid should have been suspended. He wasn't even kicked out of that game, by the way. I mean, he got a flagrant one and stayed in the game. So I think we talked a lot about Draymond Green, and after seeing that play, I had a change of heart. I'm like, well, then why was Draymond ran and suspended? I mean, this guy just kicked somebody. He didn't even get a tech two. So I thought there was a little
No,
bit of
he just got a
little bit
one.
of superstar treatment there, with the league. But the 76ers were smart. They said, hey, he's kind of injured, so he's not going to play anyway.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's
Yeah.
hurt.
Good job for the 76ers helping to leave. They called Adam Silver right after the game and said, look, don't suspend him. He's injured. He's not going to play. And
We'll do it ourselves.
we'll do it ourselves.
We'll do it.
And they still end up winning the series, so who cares, I guess.
Yeah, and the Philly has already moved on. They are in the semifinals, awaiting their next opponent here. But one guy whose team is going to be in trouble, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
That injury is starting to really. If you were a Bucks fan, you need to be really worried about that, because you cannot go down 3-1 and expect to go back to Miami to win another game. This game tomorrow night is absolutely big for the Bucks. If Giannis doesn't play, I think you and I could both agree that series is over.
Yeah, and I think we both picked him, and we picked the Heat to win in 6 if Giannis doesn't come back in time. So that's what it's shaping up to be, honestly, folks. And I gotta say, there's something about the Heat, man. Whenever they get into the playoff, there's something about the Heat. Every time they get in the playoffs, they find a way to overcompensate and get themselves
whatever it is.
Yes. What's Deadpool's line? Total concentration or something. I can't. Somebody remind me. But they find a way to go above and beyond the team that played the entire regular season, and they become a completely different animal. And so, yeah, the Heat. If Antetokounmpo doesn't come back, the Heat are winning this series. The Bucks have no shot. No shot. And so, yeah, this is a big deal. I mean, this is the number 1 seed in the East. This means that if the Heat win, they will play the winner of the Cavaliers and the Knicks series, which means they have a even greater chance of getting to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second year in a row. That's right. The second year in a row, people. This is a team that is not to be fooled with.
3 times in 4 years, I think.
They did in 2020 as well when they went to the finals.
Yeah.
So...
well, let's talk about a guy who was supposed to save a season and now is supposedly hurt, but I think that is a lie, because there was some breaking news, I think it was today or yesterday, about a family member of his, and that is everyone's favorite laugh, Kawhi Leonard. Magically got hurt, because I've been watching that series and I've not seen him take a beating at all. Is now out for an injury, and now the Clippers are without Paul George. They are out. They no longer have Kawhi Leonard. They are relying on Russell Westbrook and Eric Gordon to carry the load against Phoenix. It's safe to say Phoenix is now winning this series. Here. I was hoping for a close series, and now we're not getting.
And Phoenix has not been playing that great, folks. If you watch the games,
no.
Durant hasn't scored more than, I don't think, 30. He hasn't had a 30-point game yet. Devin Booker's been carrying the load the past 2 games, I believe. Chris Paul is still old, and this is very interesting, because the Clippers. This was the experiment the Clippers started back in, what was it, 2018, 2019, when they brought in
2020.
It was 2020, really? Okay, well, yeah, when they brought in, because they brought in Kawhi Leonard, and they brought in, and then they brought in Paul George. They traded for Paul George. They got both players at the same year, and the whole idea was this would be the best defensive team in the league. They would compete for championships, and about 3 to 4 years later, nothing, crickets. Let's call a spade a spade. Kawhi Leonard, ever since his injury with the Spurs, has not been the same player, even with Toronto. Now, he was able to carry them to a championship based on load management, but he's one of those guys who only plays when he's 100%. And so I think this is one of those scenarios where when you can't trust your superstars, no matter how much you pay them, they're only worth what they can do for you in the biggest moments. And I think this is a complete failure for Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, who is going to open a giant stadium and not even be able to put people in the seats, because by the time they get that thing open, Kawhi Leonard will have no legs, and he won't be playing anymore at this point. Yeah. Because what's the point? We've seen this 3 times in a row. Guy only plays 50 games to stay fresh for the playoffs, and then gets injured in the playoffs. The one time he wasn't injured
Yep.
was in the bubble, and they still lost. So what are we waiting for? I just think it's. I feel bad for the other Clipper teammates who came to this team thinking that they had an opportunity to win a championship, when in fact all they were going to get was a Kawhi Leonard that is not going to play through an injury, which we've seen time and time again.
Yep. And drunk, welcome to the chat.
Drunk.
We've got our man back. Chris Middleton is a diet version of Mikal Bridges. That's
He is
good
now.
one. I like that.
Actually,
Yep.
Mikal Bridges looked like he on the better diet, though. I got to be honest.
And drunk comes in. I'm the biggest Kawhi Leonard fan, but he literally robbing the NBA at this point, and I agree. That's a once in a generational talent that we have as well. He could be. You can't even put him in the conversation as in that superstar realm, because he's not giving us enough to even want to be a part of an All-Star game. You know. And he says Kawhi Leonard accidentally winning a championship to Toronto was the worst thing that possibly happened to the NBA.
Yeah, you're talking to.
And he actually made.
Yeah, you're talking to a Warriors fan. So yeah, it was the worst thing. One, Kevin Durant was probably out the door anyway, but it ultimately led to it. And yeah, it was fool's gold. I mean, it was fool's gold, and it kept Kawhi Leonard in a very high place because he just came from the Spurs, and everybody still thought of him as that great player with the Spurs, and he got to carry that same. Same view all the way into the Clipper land. But unfortunately, once you get to the Clippers, one, you're cursed. Two, you gave Kawhi Leonard everything he wanted, and he didn't give you anything in return. Less practices, less games played, load management. His uncle in the building or wherever the hell, all these people, whatever. All you did everything you've wanted to keep the guy that he's wanted to keep him there, but he's not giving you anything. So, I mean, good luck, man. You're still the Clippers.
That's coming from a Laker fan, y'all. That was I don't know if that's personal or not.
You're still the Clippers. Like, you'll never not be the Clippers. What? Change the name or something. Sorry.
And Terrence Mann was supposed to take the next step 2 years ago. You know who Terrence? Who was the guy in Denver who everyone called the Manimal?
Oh.
Do you remember that? Do you remember who that was?
Oh man, what was his name?
So, anyone
Starts
in the
with
chat,
a K.
who was
I'm gonna look him up.
Who was the Denver Nuggets guy who everyone called the Manimal? Who had all that upside and then just turned into a game.
I remember him. Wow. I'm gonna look it up.
And then Drunk comes in and says Kawhi Leonard is Russell Wilson, only he doesn't play.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Russell's right. Got a championship, so I don't know.
Well, so does
yeah,
Kawhi.
you're right. You're right. He's got two. Kenneth Farid.
Kenneth Farid is the Clippers version of Terrence Mann, pretty much. All this useless talent to take the next steps to be a superstar. And all he could do is nothing about it here. That's the feeling I get watching Terrence Mann play. And then Josh goes, Kawhi's laugh is ridiculous. There should be a contest on who laughs like Kawhi.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, we're going to remember him more for that laugh than anything else if he doesn't start playing more basketball. I can tell you that right now. Because
he's more popular with his laugh than he is with his game.
Yeah, he's a great player, but when you're not on the court, people tend to forget about you. Go ask Kevin Durant when he missed 2 years or a year and a half. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
And then the Hawks staying around with the Celtics right now. I guess to say they're showing a little bit. I just I didn't think the Hawks would even catch a game.
Well, I mean, they're up by 8. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think the Celtics will win this game. They kind of have to. You don't want to go to 6 or 7 games with the Hawks. Philly did it one time and it didn't go well for them.
Yep, so. They messed around and found out. Kenneth Farid was a victim of the NBA changing styles while in his prime.
Well, yeah, he was kind of a victim of the NBA changing styles because he was an undersized forward. But I mean, it's another example of some of these guys can play and some of them can't. if you can't find a way to shoot, then you better will find something else to make yourself available to help your team. So we'll see well, he's out of the league. He probably plays in China somewhere. I don't know.
He's playing with Dwight Howard. I'm joking. I'm not sure about
I
that.
don't know. Could be.
And then the drunk says if Kawhi didn't just show up and drop 38 off the couch, and it shouldn't be so bad. You're not wrong.
As long as he's not on the couch during whole playoff games, yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins missed most of the regular season, and he's come back and played like he had never missed a heartbeat. Yeah. You know, he's fit right into it.
The Clippers are literally praying for Paul George to magically come back and help them because they're down 3-1, folks. Like, the series is over. You know, like I mean, you can hope that they come back from 3-1, but for all intents and purposes, this thing's going back to Phoenix next game with the opportunity for them to close out. It's over.
And so the Clippers came out with a statement that Kawhi was injured, but there was a bigger statement that came out right after that. We come to find out that Kawhi's sister killed an elderly woman, I think yesterday or today.
Was convicted. She was convicted back in 2019, but was sentenced today to life in prison.
Let's say that's the problem. You ain't hurt.
I mean, it could be. You know, it could be.
Your family issues came out public. I think that was the last thing you were probably going to be expecting, and now you're going to say that you're hurt when we've watched you the last 3 games and haven't seen any sort of, kind of physical contact to warrant an injury there. So,
well, it seems par for the course not in regards to what happened with his sister, but just the fact that he's not playing at the most crucial time. So I think, bye-bye Clippers. Go back to where you belong. Find another city, maybe. I don't know what to tell you. I look forward to them building their new stadium and hosting very, very large Beyonce concerts, because that's about all people are going to show up to see.
John, it speaks as a fan like all of us would. Kawhi is the fan who watches all season and I can do that. And he can really do that. I mean, he's not wrong with that. Kawhi can sit down for 70 games, come back in 10 games and absolutely dominate a game.
Right.
But then now he's nowhere to be found on the court. Yeah. So it's unfortunate.
Well,
another team that's not going to be found on the court, on the field, on the football field, whatever the case is going to be. The Oakland A's have announced this past weekend that they have signed a $1.5 billion deal to build a stadium in Las Vegas with the Red Rock Company, to now officially give the A's their stadium that they wanted, which will officially mean within the next 2 years, Oakland will not have any form of professional sports, ending a very long era of baseball, football, and we'll say basketball just because
the Warriors
did play in Oakland
for a long time.
So we'll say that. Taj, as an Oakland native, and hearing this news, as a Raiders fan, and someone who's watched the A's, how does this make you feel? How Oakland handled all of this?
I think it's a failure as from a city standpoint. I understand that they're more. The talk is always there are more important things than sports, and I totally get that there are more important things than sports, but it's not like the Oakland education system is really that great either. So they haven't really solved any real problems. You miss an opportunity, and here's something that I guess gets lost, is that whenever you build these stadiums and you keep these teams here, you're talking about 500 to 1,000 jobs that are made available to your local to your residents. And when you remove those teams, you leave a giant vacuum where the people that did work for those companies no longer work there anymore and have to go find jobs elsewhere. So that goes from your vendors to folks, folks that work in the stadiums, all up and down the line. And so I really think it's sad, man, because, the Oakland A's and the Oakland Raiders specifically go back so far with the city of Oakland that, we're talking about championship banners here. We're not talking about we just played there. The A's obviously have been great in a couple of different eras, but were most great, I believe, during in the in the '80s, and then at some point
Yep.
also even back before then, in the '60s. So then we talk about the Raiders, who were also extremely great during the '60s. Of course, the Raiders are different because they got up and left and went to LA and then came back. And again, I thought that was a great opportunity for them to build the stadium right on the water, um, which is not far from Laney College as you're going towards down 880 along the water in the bay. And there was a great or the Howard Terminal where they wanted to build that stadium, and a lot of people showed up complaining about it and talking about traffic and permits and the oxygen. I don't know. It's just complaining about all these little nuanced things, and they never got the deal done. So now the Oakland A's I mean, I don't blame them. They want more. They weren't given more. The city of Oakland keeps doing this. Yeah, we'll do something. Just not right now. Just not right now. And eventually they had to kick rocks, and I don't blame them for that, man. I mean, the old city of Oakland has done little to nothing for any of its sports teams, and to let the one of the most successful sports teams that you've had recently in the Warriors walk away from Oracle without making something happen, that's on them. I mean, you didn't do anything to build up the area around those stadiums. They're not in the greatest place. They are good geographically for getting off the freeway and getting there, but they never built
Yeah.
anything around it. They never did anything to spruce it up. They never did anything or invested any money into sports. Oakland has invested little to nothing in sports. The only thing they ever did was build an extra 10,000 seats on the old Coliseum for Al Davis for some strange reason. So yeah, so
Yeah.
people on them for letting all these teams go. There will be more gentrification and so on and so forth, as much as they can handle, as seems to be the only way they look to make the city better in any shape, form, or fashion. They obviously aren't interested
Yeah.
in the folks that are making $30,000 a year trying to feed their kids and maybe work for one of these teams. So screw them, and good for the A's. They deserve to have what all the other teams in the league have. And let me get off this point so we can move forward. But the one thing that shouldn't go unnoticed is this deal was done without any taxpayer funding. No
Yep.
Nevadian or whatever the hell you call these people from Las Vegas, no Las Vegas resident had to pitch any tax money into this deal. The A's did this on their own, the same way that the Warriors built Chase Center. So if they were able to do that, but they couldn't do that in Oakland, that lets you know how much effort was being put in to help them figure this out.
Yeah, and that's a big shame to Oakland for allowing that to happen. And then the mayor's going to come out, and make comments as she did, which were completely wrong to say the least. Um, here's what baffles my mind. A's fans now, the A's fans are going to try to sell out the Coliseum to show that they're there to support the team. You guys shouldn't be doing this because you guys are finding out that your team is moving. You need to go there and support your team through all of this here. You need to show the city of Oakland why baseball needs to be here. You failed to do that. That stadium is just too. MLB cannot have an empty stadium in the ways the A stadium is empty. That thing is like a ghost town on a Tuesday night. You cannot have that happen. And yes, it is a bad product of baseball. Don't get me wrong. But if you love your team, you will be there to support them 100%. And that is the bottom line there. A's fans did not go out there. The A's weren't charging a ridiculous amount of tickets.
Not really.
Price range. That shit was like $5. So you mean to tell me you'd rather not go out and support your team for that simple price for, whatever the case may be?
Yeah.
It's terrible. And let's get kind of the drums got a few things before we go. I'm from St. Louis. I know about losing the team. But Las Vegas really just cherry-picked every Oakland franchise because they knew they could give them what they wanted.
Right.
Oakland wasn't going to give those two franchises what they wanted, which was a new football stadium and a new baseball stadium.
Yeah.
They just did not want to do it because of the price tag that it was going to cost. But all that money generates revenue outside of sports, concerts, other sporting events as well. You get these things to come, it helps with the money there.
Yeah,
Wait until go ahead,
yeah,
T.
and Vegas is a tourist capital, so it makes sense to have teams there. That's just drawing more tourism. It just brings more people
Yep.
into the city. So the moment you get out of the A's game, you're going to the casino. I mean, it's a win-win for Las Vegas. It's easy for them.
Yep. And Drunk goes, wait until the A's get to Vegas and realize they expected to win. But I think Vegas is not expecting them to win. I think Vegas just wants to start turning into a sports town.
Yeah.
Because now they're going to have the three major sports inside there. You're going to have baseball, football, and the
WNBA.
NHL.
WNBA. Don't forget the
The
WNBA.
WNBA, I don't see the NBA going to Vegas. It's just that's going to be a little hard to do with the amount of gambling that takes place. This one's here for you, Tosh. If the Raiders were still in Oakland, Derek Carr is still the quarterback, and I'll take that.
Yeah, more than likely. Now we're doing everything the Patriot way, so good luck with that. It'll last about 2 years, and then it'll fall apart, just like everything else. Yeah.
Drunk says, "Don't worry, bro. We'll get y'all an XFL team.
Battlehawks.
Go Battlehawks." Well, look,
where are they gonna play?
They're
gonna play in the old Coliseum.
We tried the XFL here. We tried the XFL in San Francisco, and all that was a bunch of drunk fighting, women exposing events happening at AT&T Park.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
I don't see it happening.
No,
but
you.
man, now it's San Francisco that that houses, and Santa Clara that houses your major sports teams, and it's a shame that that Giants have a rivalry with the A's, and now that's not going to be the same.
No.
When it's the Las Vegas A's, there was the Raiders and Niners. Now it's the Las Vegas Raiders. You lose a lot. The city, sports brings communities together.
Right.
It brings cities together. And now Oakland really is not going to have anything outside of the Warriors, but now they're going to have to travel, well, everyone's got to travel to see the Warriors, but it's got to be across the bay.
Right. That's right. So yeah, no money that way. It'd just be a bunch of empty holes. I have no idea what they're going to do with the Coliseum, other than knock it to the ground. They might as well burn down the old complex.
It wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, it's got a toilet problem, to say the least. So I think tearing it down may not be the worst thing.
It'll be an IKEA in 5 years anyway.
They're gonna have Oracle still in the air next to it.
It's just so stupid, man. It is. Oh man. Yes, we got Birdie chiming in. Good show, boys. Well, thank you, Mama Birdie.
Thank you.
I think that's about all I got, man. Or all we got. Unless we're missing some.
That's all we got. Yeah. Nope. We just got another good week of basketball. There's going to be hopefully a lot of extended series going on here.
Not for me. I don't want any more extended series. I want my Lakers going tomorrow and handle business, please.
I don't have much of a choice. My series. Right. I really don't have much.
Yeah,
of a choice
it's 2-2.
On that one.
Yeah, you're right. 2-2. Every game from here on out is going to be pretty close.
Yes, it will.
Yep.
So. All right, y'all. Well, T, go ahead and take us out.
Yeah, all right. Well, we appreciate you joining us on Sunday. I know it's a little bit of an earlier show, but we appreciate you joining us. We'll be back to our regular time next Sunday at 6:30. So expect us at that time for Sunday, unless something changes. And again, if this is your first time listening to us, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Drop your comments in, hit the notification button. We appreciate all of it. We got one more for Drug. Next time y'all go live, Grizzlies will be in Cancun. I am certainly hoping for that. I don't think John wants to go to Cancun. I think he wants to go to Baltimore. Or to, what should I say, to a hood near you. How about that?
That's a good one. I like that one. To a hood.
To a hood. Yeah, that's where he's going. Him and the pew pew. So anyway,
yep.
Thanks again for joining us. You guys have a wonderful evening. What's up?
And see you later.
Out. Peace.
Peace.